Clarinda, can you please tell us how would homeschool children make friends?
Oh my goodness. Like you, they are, I think people think that homeschool children are living on some island somewhere, but homeschool children make friends in the social circles that the parents roam in. And the fact that we're not living out on a plot far away means that we have people, we've got clubs, churches, and places for them to engage and make friends.
Okay, so it's possible to make friends even if you're homeschooled.
Definitely, definitely. I don't know why, Tanda, people always think that it's not possible. I think they forget that the world changed a lot. Sometimes when people are schooling, they think that you've locked up in your house. Or you don't see people, you don't talk to people, maybe you don't like people. But that's really, we all as parents, we've got places we work at, people we are friends with. We are not just locked up in a home. Just, I think we've got life outside of our homes, and our children get the opportunity to interact
Mm,
with people. Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well said, indeed. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Talk with Thanda. Today I have Clarinda. She's going to introduce herself just now, but I have three icebreaker questions. You're just gonna choose one. So, would you rather eat banana for the rest of your life or a cabbage and carrots?
How, Tanda?
For
What
the rest
kind
of
of
your life.
options are you giving me now?
That's the point. So break the ice.
Oh, okay. I think I'll go with bananas then. Bananas.
Banana the whole side. Okay. Okay. Um, would you rather be stuck in an in a lift with your book, with just a book, or your phone without internet?
With a book. With a book.
With a book. Okay. The last one. Would you rather cut your beautiful hair? Would you rather cut your hair or live without your phone for a year?
Yo, Tanda. I'd rather cut my hair. I'll cut my hair.
Is it?
It will grow back. It will definitely grow back, but I need to connect with people, definitely.
Okay, okay. Well, fair enough. When you look at the time we live in, you always wanna call someone, video call someone, and yeah. Okay. I have few house rules. I will share Clarinda's contact details in the description box. If people want to connect with her, you guys are welcome to connect with her. All the information will be in the description box. And please, as you're watching this, remember to subscribe. Subscribe for more videos like this and like the video. If you have more questions, please leave them in the comment section. And you're also welcome to email me if you prefer to do that. And if maybe there's something what okay, yeah, if you have questions or any suggestions or anything that you want to whether on this topic or on other things or something that you want to ask our guests, feel free to leave the comment in the comment section. Clarinda, you will answer the questions, right?
I will.
She will. Okay, so we are ready now to get into the serious stuff. Okay. But before we do so, Clarinda, can you please just walk us through your motherhood journey and your homeschool journey?
Awesome. Wow. I think you're mentioning two things that have actually changed my life the most, apart from being married. So I am married and I'll be married for 20 years in July. And I have three children. My oldest is going to be 18 at the end of this year. And then I have a 16-year-old. My daughter will be 16 next week. And my youngest is 12 going on 13. So
Wow.
I have a season of teenagers actually in my home.
Yeah.
Very interesting season, and I think that motherhood for me what stands out has been all the different seasons, right? You
Mm,
know, before you know it, Tanda, your little ones are just, you're blinking and people are big. Like from when
mm,
they're toddlers and they are right next to you, and your life seems to be stretching into mixture of sleepless nights to worries and insecurities as well about
mm,
your role. And then they grow and you just want to do it all over again. I
mm.
actually, you know what, my biggest regret in life is that I didn't have 10 children. um
Really?
I'm telling you, Tanda, I because I see it, I see the blessing that children are, and I see the
Mm,
privilege of watching every individual child. They're so different. They all come
mm,
with something to the world that both shapes you and changes you. And I think it's beautiful, it's humbling. It's
mm.
all those things that make you feel like you are truly alive. So I would just do it again 10 times. I would.
Uh, that's that's so nice to hear, because it seems like you are enjoying all the challenges and everything that comes with motherhood. Because it's not easy.
I'm not enjoying,
You
I'm just embracing it, Tanda.
you
I'm
embracing them. Mm,
embracing it because I think when you stop fighting for a perfect life, a perfect family, perfect children, you just
mm,
decide to embrace a life that you do have and make the most of it, you know?
mm, mm. Oh, nice. And then now your homeschool journey, because I know you homeschool your kids, but you're gonna get back to the parts where some of the kids are no longer homeschooled. But can you just walk us through why did you decide to homeschool? When did you start to homeschool and all of that?
Okay, well, for a long time, Tanda, I described myself as like that lady who did not want to homeschool. I promise.
Okay.
I was, it wasn't in the plans, it wasn't in the cards. And so when my oldest, so we started homeschooling, this year is our 12th year of homeschooling. If you put it all together, I've been a homeschooling mom for 12 years. um,
Mm,
and we started with my oldest when he was about to go into grade R. We had to pull him from school. And initially, it was meant to be a year of building into him, going for a lot of, he had some language delays we were addressing. And so homeschooling was supposed to be like a gap year, I promise you, just to do all the things that needed to be done and to then send him back to school after a year. And
mm,
yeah, I feel like I was tricked into homeschooling because when I started, I just thought, okay, 1 year, and this is the purpose. It's for having time to run around and build into my child. And then that 1 year turned into another year, turned into, wow, I see progress. Wow, our time as a family, it's so much simpler, so much richer. It turned into so many things along the way that now in this 12th year, I'm like, this was the best thing that could have happened to my family. So I moved from reluctant, oh my goodness, I can't do this, striving, trying to be perfect, and then just
yeah.
relaxing into the blessing and the gift that it has been for myself as a mother, for my children, my family. So it's been, I, I'm just, I get emotional because I want to do it all over again. And I
Wow.
encourage people that sometimes behind your greatest fears actually is so much purpose and meaning. And yeah, and to not just hold back from the things that we are afraid of.
Oh wow. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Wow. Okay. You just said, just describe it how you got started and then you continued. Then it was year after year after year after year. Now it's 12 years, right?
Yeah.
But I follow you online and I did see that you decided to send your two children, if I'm not mistaken, your two older children, to a traditional school.
Yeah.
Why? Like after saying this is also this was a blessing for your family, and now you decide, you and your husband, I believe, you decide that you're going to send your kids to a traditional school. Can you just tell us that what were your reasons for, and what did you consider in that process? I can imagine as a mother, as a homeschool mother, that it's not an easy decision. It's the
Mm.
same thing as when people are trying to decide, or they're still deciding whether they should homeschool or not. If your child is at school, it's very difficult. It's really difficult writing that letter saying, "Hey, I'm taking my child," you know.
Oh,
And I think it's the same thing when your child is not at school. When your child is homeschooled, it's a very difficult and not a so easy decision as a family to think to say, you know what, you are going to school, and then starting the process and everything that is required. But why did you decide to do so?
sure. Tanda, I want to say that firstly, it was a complete surprise. It was a complete surprise because we were, as a family, we had gotten into the place of our homeschooling where I think we were just thriving because having tried so many approaches of homeschooling in these 12 years,
Yeah.
we were trying to figure out who we were, our dynamics of our home, finding our rhythm, our own way, our own, almost your own learning philosophy, the things you really believe in. And we really gained traction, I would say, in the last 5 years or so in our homeschooling. We gained such momentum. I think it was so rich to see the fruits of so many years. But I think to
Mm,
answer the question, you have to know the reason why we set out to homeschool in the first place was about this idea that our children, number one, they are not ours, number one. And our job as parents is to create an environment where they can really grow to become what they have been created to be, right? It's about their potential, the uniqueness, and discovering that. We want them to be part of this journey of discovery and of learning and growing into who you really are. And our
mm,
homeschooling gave us a very beautiful time to really carve out what it means for us as a family. What do we value? What is the culture we want? What the character of our children that we want to build into them? So yes, homeschooling was about academics, but we always saw homeschooling as our whole child, like who they are becoming. And fortunately or unfortunately, we empowered our children to be part of their own learning and their growth and to take ownership. And I'm
yes.
saying unfortunately here because the culmination of that was when last year my oldest, he came to us. I promise you, Tanda, my year was planned. We were on a roll. I mean, I was directing the program we were. I was directing for the older kids. I had a group of kids. We were meeting once a week. I was leading that group and the families, and we were just like everything was just right.
Plans. Mm,
And then son came to us, Edgar, my husband and I, and he said to us, I've been thinking about this for so long. I really want to go to school. And his reasons were not because he hated homeschooling or that there was something negative. He said to us, he said, I want to be in a bigger space and I want to learn what it is like to learn with other children who are not like, right?
mm,
And dug a bit deeper. I promise you, it was, we initially I thought, oh, we're just going to have a moment, talk through a few things, and then we will
yeah.
identify a need that he has and meet it within the frame of our homeschooling community, etc. But the more we listen to him, the more we realize that he is longing for almost like risk, expanding himself, right? Saying to himself, I can do challenging things. Like there was this and a curiosity in him to kind of discover what's out there, what he's made up of, basically. And you know what? You know why we paid attention to this? Because this is not our child who is like I wouldn't know how to put, like extroverty, always wanting. This is actually our child who doesn't enjoy change. This is our child who loves to be he's the reason we set out homeschooling in the first place, right?
Yes. Yeah.
um so everything was tailored so well for him. He's a child who is out of the box. He's always needed a different approach, come at him at different angles. So when he's asking to go into structure and this kind of pace, we
Mm.
realized that we needed to release him. We needed to release him to grow, because we have taught our children that they have ownership, especially the older they became, the more every year of homeschooling, they were involved in what we are doing, what's working, what's not working,
Mm.
identifying where they need to grow. And this was what he was identifying as a environment he wanted to go into, maybe just flex a few muscles for his own growth. So
Mm.
my husband and I don't want to say we decided, as in we woke up one morning and we're like, yeah, it's time. It's
Yeah.
so we had our whole plan of how we were gonna finish off high school. We were going for the finish line, and
Yeah.
then came about, and we had to listen, because it is more important to us that our children own their learning and sit on the driving seat, especially in the high school years. And so we felt that that was more important than what we had in mind. We felt that
Mm.
that was more important than what we have become so comfortable with and loving. We felt like
Yeah.
his growth was more important, and we needed to release him. And so we released him that year. Our middle daughter watched this whole thing playing out. She was not interested in going, but then she observed something in the schooling environment that made her want to then join him. And
Okay.
what I observed was actually the teachers that he was, that the teachers who were teaching him. And I must say that I would not be sending these two children of mine to school if it wasn't for the school that they are in. I must say, it wasn't just
Okay.
a case of, oh, you want to go to school, go for it. It was a case of the school matching what we felt comfortable with in terms of both the standard but also the environment.
Okay.
And we had narrowed it down for our son to two places, because he wanted music as a subject as part of um, um, his grade 10 choices. And these were the places that we knew offered an excellent music as a subject program, along with all the other subjects. But it was also a school that um, really had quality teachers. And I
Mm.
tell you how what a blessing that has been for my children. It's the character of the teachers, the excellence they bring, and the approach to the whole child that I feel this school actually complements. I think it's a highly academic, but they do care about you as a whole child. And so Kendra, my daughter, observing this, she was like, man, I want to be here, because she loves feedback. And we were getting into a place in our homeschooling where she was so wanting more of a challenge in the specific subjects that she was doing. So
Mm.
I was feeling the tension of, hey, yes, you can interact with your own learning, but it's actually important that you are surrounded by people who are passionate in the subject area that you are loving. So she loved the fact that the teachers were so engaged and so quick to give feedback, instruction, direction in areas that was exciting to see growth. She is a person. My daughter's very particular. She loves a challenge, and she felt like, man, these teachers know what they're talking about. And she had grown to observe respect, and so she joined my son this year. It was
Okay.
sad to say goodbye. It was very sad for me, but I can confidently say we finished. She's finished one semester. He's into the second year of school, and I can confidently say it was the best decision that I didn't anticipate, right? It's so
Mm,
funny. It was so good for them because they still maintaining their love for learning. They are not feeling like people must do things for them. In
mm,
fact, are kind of outsourcing their learning in the sense that they know what the teachers can do for them, and they are bringing in what the teachers are providing and the school is providing for them. But they are,
mm,
what is beautiful, Thanda, is that my kids are not restricted by the environment either. One thing
mm,
that I told them is that school is school, but learning is everywhere. Please don't forget that. Like, school is school, but learning is everywhere. And we are a learning home. So remember the things that you've learned. If you don't understand something, go
yeah,
to your teachers, yes, but find out for yourself. Go
yeah,
deeper in the areas that your teachers have worked so hard to flesh out this structure. But aren't you curious for more? So I want them
mm,
to carry on with that ownership of learning, and that um, constantly going for it without feeling limited by structure or curriculum or anything. And
mm,
so I'm sitting here, we are at school holidays, and I have been reflecting on how grateful I am. And
mm.
I am grateful that I do have my youngest still in the homeschooling journey, at least.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's what I can say about what it has been like for them to be in school.
Wow. Um, it's nice to hear that you and your husband, of course, are parents that are willing to listen and also respect your children's opinion, especially as they grow older. You know, our kids, they gain their own voice, and I think what you're just describing, the whole situation and how you guys handled it, it just shows that you are open minded, and also to prove to someone who's thinking that maybe homeschoolers, they just want to box their children, they want to teach them this certain theology or whatever, they just want to box them outside everyone else. But you're just proving that it's actually the opposite. You are willing to listen to your teens. They were teens when you were having these discussions. And also, I think that's also very important for a child to know that my voice matters, and my parents are listening,
Yeah.
and I don't know now, like, how did you deal with other things? Because a child can say all the beautiful things, but you are older.
Mm.
There are certain things that are out there, and whether those were part of the reasons why you homeschool, or you were grateful that you homeschool because now your children didn't have to deal with that. How did
Mm.
you deal with that, the negative side of things, now that you as your parent, you can't tell your child that, oh, another benefit that you homeschooled is because you're protected from this and this and this and this and that. Now you'll be exposed to this and this and this and this and that. How did you handle that? And did you feel like you have done a good job as parents uh, in equipping them with the necessary skills to deal with those things outside home?
Yeah. So I think, Tanda, it's parenting is a very tough job, right?
It is.
Because you, what are you working from? You haven't been here before. You
Yeah.
haven't done it before, right? But you have enough life experience to know that we are shaped by our environment and the ideas that are actually happening within that environment. So, and the more life has changed, we realize that there is a lot more out there that are negative influences on our children. And so I really believe parenting is not a accidental thing. You don't put parenting on autopilot. And I feel like when you are homeschooling, you learn not to autopilot things, right? Because in a sense, everything rests on you in some ways. You know, you are creating things, learning this, learning that. Oh my goodness, left, right, and center. So you are wide awake to the fact
Yeah.
that you can't leave things to accident, that you have to build things, right? I think
Yeah.
some of when you are not that kind of parent, when you walk into a school environment, you assume things. You assume that everybody's wonderful, that everybody loves your child, that the best interest of your child, like you assume things and you release them and you take a back seat and you, it's almost like you close your eyes and wish for the best. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
do that. And I think a lot of parents live like that. They expect the school to miraculously turn out these well rounded, grounded human beings who love learning. And
Yeah.
what my husband and I are not disillusioned by, we're not in the illusion that school is a magical place.
Yeah.
Home is the place where children are raised, not school. And so as you are raising your children, you are also like a watchman watching from far and wide, checking out
Yeah.
what are the potential dangers here and what are the potential opportunities here, right? And I think what we did with the way we navigating school is we keep the potential threats in front of our eyes, but
Mm.
we weigh it up with the opportunity that is presented and the
Mm.
goals have for our children.
Mm.
So if your goals and the opportunity you want this experience to have on your children don't match up, then you have no business being in school. Then
Mm.
you what I mean. And so it's really important to keep that at the forefront of your mind, because you must go in and get what you want out of it, right? And chuck all the other things, spit it out that you don't want. What I think that what has helped us, Thanda, is that this school really is a school that loves to nip things in the bud. So it is an environment where feedback is given to parents very quickly. They are really on top of creating a safe environment in the school. They have a
Mm.
no tolerance policy for bullying and stuff that teenagers love to do, right? And
Yes.
not perfect because teenagers aren't perfect. But I think what has happened with my children, and I'm very grateful that they went into school, my son in grade 10, my daughter in grade 10 as well. By the time they were landing in this environment of potential threats and influences are more along the lines of people pulling you away from the roots that you are trying to establish in your children,
Yes. Yes.
whether it's discipline, character, whether it's ideas, whether it's just even mannerisms. Oh my goodness. So by the time my children, honestly, by the time my children landed in school, I'm very grateful, Tanda, that there were certain values and there were certain things that were inbuilt in them
Already.
already. Yo, and I think the most powerful thing, them going into school, was our connection with our children. So,
Mm.
our connection with our children, when teenagers grow, the only thing you have left is not what you told them. Um, Honestly, the only thing you have left is your influence. That is it's a product of the consistent nurturing of relationship with them, where they now almost are choosing you. They're choosing to listen to you. You know, when you
Mm.
tell your toddler, don't touch that, they don't touch that. You smack them on the hands a little bit. You have all these things, but toddlers, you are influencing them by a lot of external things have to come into play to shape the toddler. But the
Yeah.
teenager has, you have your connection is what is your line of direct influence. And
Hmm.
so when your child comes home and they start, when I pick up my kids from school, my older two from school, when I arrive, I switch off my radio. I don't take calls, because in that car, oh, they're going to tell me all that's happening. They talk, they talk, they talk, they talk. And their talking is inviting me into all the
Yeah.
potential and the world that they are surrounded by. And the conversations we have when we come home, the reminders, the watching to see how they handle it before I tell them what to do, all of those things, it's part, for me, it's part of the growing up of my children. I would not
Mm.
be able to actually engineer that for them at home. But what we are on top of is the fact that we are the primary influences in our children's lives, school or no school. And we
Yeah.
take that very seriously. We engage with the parents. We are writing the emails, attending the meetings, and we are in a school that welcomes that. So you want to be in an environment that is in line with the way that you want to stay involved as a parent. If that
Mm.
school is a kind of school that wants nothing to do with parents, my children won't be in school. They won't be there. They,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah. No,
So
I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, and now you still get to be part of their learning, and you still get to be part of their journey, and the school allows for that, and your children as well allows for that. I also like what you just said, that when you're dealing with teenagers, that the relationship between the child and the parent is most important, because now the child is choosing who's going to influence them. The child is choosing. So if you don't have a strong and good relationship with your child, you easily speak, it will come from this ear out the other ear, because it's like, who are you, where you coming from, you don't know me, that kind of attitude. So I think I like that. And well, from what you're saying, and for someone maybe who's homeschooling or who's not homeschooling and thinking, oh, now I should send my kids to school, it's not it's it's not saying that, you actually touching a lot of other things. And for someone like me, someone is still getting started, someone still wets behind their ears when it comes to homeschooling with very little children. So I think you are helping us to use this time to build our children, use this
Mm.
time to build the relationship we have as a family and all of that, because we don't know what future holds. We all know
Mhm.
that one day we'll let go, and one day our kids will be living by themselves, hopefully have the families of their own. So what you are saying now is, for us parents with young children, let us just focus on building their character, building the relationship between us, our faith, if that's important to you, everything
Mhm.
that, whatever that is important in your family, in building a child in those things, so that when they are out there, you are not. Yes, of course, you have those worries, but you're not as scared. Like, oh, you don't know what's gonna happen. You
Yeah.
kind of trust that they've got it. They know what to do. Okay, yeah, I just want to move on now to the next question, because now you have a little bit both worlds. Like you have a
Mhm.
child, you have two children in school, and then you still have one child at home whom you're still homeschooling. What do you miss the most, especially for your two kids that are now at school? What do you miss the most? Whether it's spending time with them, or whether it's teaching them, whether it's seeing them doing their work, or seeing them not doing their work and playing. What do you miss the most since they're now at school?
I really really miss our times of just discussing everything and discovering everything together, and all the aha moments, including the struggles, the times when people are frustrated. I
Yeah.
think what we don't realize is that what homeschooling invites us into is beautiful, sacred moments with our children. That when they are in school spending, I don't know how many hours are they there, they are not with you, right? And I think that, I miss just the difference in knowing that all your little chickens are in the nest. And all your chickens are in the nest. It's warm, it's more relaxed, you're not rushing, there's not someone chasing you. And so what you're able to do is be in the moment even while you're learning,
Mm,
and instead of just checking boxes and moving from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, because school really moves fast. School is fast paced. And
mm,
I appreciate the fact that there's this incredible structure that school has to have in order for it to work.
mm,
But homes are not just structures, places. I do miss times where we sit and just read a good book together. Even as old as they were, as they are, we we just had times where we read and we exchanged ideas and talked. Um, and what I see now, more and more at school, is that there isn't a lot of time to go deep. There isn't time to go really deep. There's a time to get things done, and you need to get things done. So the challenge now for our family is, making most of holidays and the weekend times to really just take a moment to breathe. And I do miss that. I miss the pace of life, the relaxed, the less stress. There wasn't, now I'm having
yeah,
conversations, reminding people that the marks are not a definition of you, because now people are stressing about things that actually, at the end of the day, they are not the end of the world, but they are
mm,
just these new stresses that come from the outside that you have to deal with. It just takes more energy and time, whereas life was simpler, and I think slower, richer, deeper. And I do miss that. I really do.
wow. Yo, Clarinda, I have so many questions that I would love to ask, especially on that. And I think I'm just thinking now that, please, if I invite you in future to come, can you just please, because I think that I have so many questions from what you just said now, and I believe that other people who are watching, they'll also have maybe questions that they want to dig deeper. But for the purpose of this recording, I want us to move now. For most people, when they think of homeschooling and school, socialization is mostly the first thing that comes to their mind. Like, oh, homeschool children are not socialized, and and so on. In the first question that I asked you, you did answer and said homeschool children can make friends. But I want us to talk about socialization. I believe socialization is important for anyone, especially for a child's development. And I just want you to just speak to that. Why do you think it is important? Why is socialization important part of the child's development?
Mhm. Tanda, I think I like to define things before I talk about them, because for all we know, some people, when they think of socialization, they might think, they're thinking, oh, how for my child not to be weird, or how, you know what I mean? So many
Mhm.
things come up to mind. So it's like, how can my child fit in? How my child just be normal? They're thinking about things like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, um everybody, because we are social beings, we were not created, like I said, to just be in an island by ourselves. We have been made and wired in our design to be in community, to be around people, because it's one of the ways in which we get shaped and we get formed, right? So
Mm.
when I think of socialization, I want to be clear that when I think of that, I'm not talking about my child becoming cool and hip and fitting in, because I genuinely don't want my child to fit in the sense of be like
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yes.
I, Tanda, I can't tell you how, even just this week, my daughter and I were talking about the difference between making her friends that she has, who are her ride or die friends from homeschooling, that
Mm.
are incomparable. They cannot compare to the people that she is interacting with in school, and how
Mm,
grateful she is that she has the friends that she has, and she doesn't have the need that she has going into school, because
mm,
she is seeing the quality of friendships in school versus the quality of friendships in her homeschooling community. And I can tell you, not all that glitters is gold, right? So I think when I talk of socializing, I'm talking about how is my child becoming a whole person within the context of community? How are they engaged? Their ability to engage, their ability to just be a valuable member of society, and to have a sense of belonging, but also a sense of purpose within whatever circle you're in, whether it's in friendship, in family, wherever. Socialization for me is that thing that we are talking about, that we are saying we want whole people with a healthy sense of who they are and engaging well in the environments that they are in, right? So if we talk about it that way, right, and we're not talking about it in terms of just being surrounded by masses of people, right,
yeah.
then want is quality built into our children's lives. We want quality. We want quality relationships, quality
Mm,
friendships. We want
mm,
quality behavior. We want a character of a person that spills over in the way they interact with the world around you. And
mm,
I don't know any better place to shape that than socialization within a family, right? Where
mm,
child, a child doesn't become whole because they've got many friends and they know how to speak to people. A child becomes whole because they have a sense of identity and belonging from their home and their family. And from that place, when they go out into the world, they know how to treat people. They know what it is to respect the elderly. They know what it is to honor their friendships. But very importantly, Tanya, I think the big difference and the big lie that we are sold when people say, "What about socialization?" is, I think people are forgetting the role of family, and they are over glamorizing the role of school, right?
mm,
If I drop off my children in school, then there are teachers, adult figures, then there are children, and I'm hoping that these two ingredients will magically
yeah.
create in my children, not
Mm,
realize you as a family, the health of your family is what creates this whole person. So
yeah.
don't we want our children not to go out in the world needy and so impacted by peer pressures? Because if your identity comes from the socialization from peers and acceptance from peers and approval by authority figures, because you've been taught and conditioned to just follow the rules, because if you don't follow the rules, you don't fit in, we're going to give you a demerit, you're going to be. So if that's
Mm,
the world you are shaped by, is that healthy? Is that healthy?
mm,
Actually, and so I'm not saying that a homeschooling family must ignore the fact that they need to be intentional about exposing to their children to a world outside your home, right? I'm
yeah.
not, but I'm saying that socialization is actually a question for every parent, not just the homeschooling parent, because it's a question of quality influences in your child's life, and it's a question of creating a person who is confident to be able to engage with people, right? You can be sitting in school for 12 years, right?
Mm,
And all you've picked up, all you've learned is that I must pretend and I must perform when I am in social environments. And is that what we want?
mm,
And I think it starts with the home, it starts with the parent. Parents must be healthy, marriages must be, family relationships must be healthy, and then children can be taught that you have been made to make an impact in the world out there. And how do you get trained to do that? Your listening skills, your communication, your respect, your honoring of that you bring. These are the things that you want to hone as a parent, whether your child is in school or not. And if you
mm.
dish out to someone else to do it for you, that's when you are in big trouble.
can imagine. I can imagine. And with on the same breath, you I don't know did I oh you're still here. Sorry. Um on the same breath, Clarinda, do you think that homeschool children are disadvantaged? And after answering that, how can parents ensure that their children are part of the community? And how do they get when I say community, I'm not only referring to homeschool community, I'm just referring to community. And then how do they then find other homeschooled families?
Hmm. So, Thanda, this may sound very, very controversial in some ways, but I think that homeschooling families can easily become unhealthy community for homeschoolers,
Mm,
right? And why I'm saying easily is because the reason that you set out homeschooling in the first place is going to shape a lot of how you navigate homeschooling. Because if you homeschool because, oh, I have to get my children away from this, I have to get my way from, if you homeschool with that fear of the outside world, it kind of creates this funny thing where you just become a weird family because you are so afraid that you are suspicious and you tend to keep away from things that are actually could be healthy inputs to your child. So can my appeal to homeschooling family is get rid of the weird stuff, like get rid of the weird stuff. We are homeschooling because we've just chosen a different route and environment of learning for our children. That's all. But we are like everybody else. I think let's not think of ourselves as a special class citizens in our beautiful country, like you know,
yeah,
so if you think like that, weird things start to happen. I don't know how to explain it. Just think of
yeah,
it as, hey, you know what? The mom next door has chosen to delegate an area of her parenting to an institution called a school. I've chosen to take it onto myself and actually have more say into the process. But
yeah,
we have common ground. We have
yeah,
common ground in that we love our children and we want them to succeed. If you come into the world of homeschooling like that, not like we are separate, we are better, we are this, it
yeah.
opens up the world that you expose your children to. It really, really does. It means that you are seeking. Oh, hello. Oh,
Mm.
someone.
I'm sorry. Someone, sorry.
So I think if you come in with that frame of mind, what you're doing is you are seeking opportunities for you as a family and for your children to build quality relationships and to be surrounded by healthy people, whether it's homeschoolers or not. I would say that I know that a lot of ton of kids go to school in the day and there you are, you know, in the school
Yeah,
hours. So
yeah,
yes, find out what homeschoolers are doing in your community so that you can have shared ground, so that you don't feel alone in the journey of homeschooling. And you need to be that parent. I think it's hard for an introverted parent to stay introverted when you are homeschooling because you
yeah,
really need to come out of your shell to, even though you are content to be by yourself as a introverted homeschooling parent, you have to
yeah,
get out a bit and do the things that you don't need, but you do it because your children need it. So find out the clubs, the extramurals happening in your community.
mm,
Talk to school going children. They may be at school, but they may be great friends for your children, right?
yes,
Find
yes.
and I like to find out, I like to hook myself to people who are really passionate about something and let their passion rub off on me. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
find a mom who loves planning outings and field trips and those things. Yeah, I'm
Mm,
like,
yes, yes.
I look at what's around me and I realize, okay, if it's left up to me, my children won't go on a lot of field trips. So I'm going to
Uh,
huddle next to this mom. So I
Yeah.
think to see yourself as someone who needs people, not needy, but you need people. And don't try to prove yourself as a homeschooling mom like you the beginning and end of everything. You know, yeah, don't do that. Look around you, look for quality opportunities for your children, and take a step and initiate things. I think you're gonna have to initiate things as a homeschooling mom, and so that's, I think, for the school mom who drops off her child, there's not so much of a need for you to initiate all of these environments for your child, but for the homeschooling mom, just get over yourself, initiate stuff, and if it doesn't work, it's cool. Just don't stick to homeschooling communities just for the sake of homeschooling communities. Look for
Yeah.
healthy spaces as well.
Mm,
You
mm,
know,
mm.
look for healthy
Yeah.
spaces. When we started homeschooling, right in the beginning, there were very few Black homeschoolers in Pretoria, right? And initially, I would walk into spaces and people spoke Afrikaans the whole time. I couldn't understand a word. I was feeling not very welcomed, right? And
Yeah.
for a moment, I just thought, okay, Clarinda, you know what? Get over yourself for a bit. But maybe these people are not your people. I found other people who were embracing. So don't stay in unhealthy spaces. Just be very intentional, take initiatives, look around you, what's going on around you, and plug into that. And if it's not working for you, it's not working for you. Maybe you start something
Mm,
for the homeschooling community around you. Be a
yeah.
builder, right? Not just someone who takes.
Oh, wow. Nice. By the way, where do we get these families? Like, where do we find them? Where do you find them? And also, maybe when you're answering that one, you spoke about children interacting, doing sports, and all of that. Where can homeschoolers enroll children for sports and the like?
Yeah. So I think, where do you find these families and where do you enroll for these things? Every person's context is going to look different. I'm in Pretoria, you may be in Durban, Joburg. Your city is a city that you have to navigate around you. I think what is good is to just start online, maybe. I think online is a great place to start off with. So I'm in Pretoria, but people may be in different places, different towns. Your community and opportunities may look different to mine. But I think a no-brainer is to just start online, maybe. Just jump online. There are quite a few very big homeschooling online spaces.
Yeah.
The Homeschooling South Africa page. Maybe search for homeschooling within your area. We have a Pretoria homeschoolers. So start online, type a message and say, hey, are there any homeschoolers in Krugersdorp? Are there any homeschoolers in da 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 da? Start that way. Find that one homeschooling mom or family who's like a
Mm,
source of information. Ask her, hey, are there any WhatsApp groups? Because there may be online groups, but sometimes there are these smaller WhatsApp groups where people share activities and things like that. Start online
mm,
if you don't know where to start. um,
yeah.
Start asking questions, reach out to people, post and say, I'm looking for A, B, and C. You know what I mean by the taking the initiative. And then I
Mm,
think um, approach the schools around you, right? I know it's a bit, might feel a bit intimidating, but there are a number of schools around in our Pretoria area who allow homeschoolers just to come for their sports, right? Um, so approach the school, make an appointment. Hey, we are a homeschooling family. I'm interested in my child playing sports with you here. Do you welcome homeschoolers? What do I need to do, etc., right?
mm, yeah.
So you want to do that. Look through your phone contact list of friends. Ask them, hey, do you know any homeschooling families? So you have to be that. You have to be very active in doing that. You can't be passive. You can't be passive about this. And I think obviously families have different involvements in their communities. So start where you are. Your church is a community. Interact and find out what is available within that context. And
Yeah.
the idea is that you are not doing this alone. And you and your face is not the only thing your children are seeing
Yeah.
from Monday to Sunday, you know?
Yes. And then
Um,
you take them outside and say, let's play soccer now.
exactly. I know. I mean, oh my goodness. That it in the beginning when there are, I think we underestimate the reality that actually being a mom of younger children by itself default, it can be a very lonely season, right? um because you're not so out and abouty as you are when your children are able to fend
Yes.
for themselves. So just
Yeah.
have the season you're in and know that it won't last forever, but do what you can. Plan a play. You can start with younger children, plan a play date. Maybe they come to your home, maybe you are at the park. And in those interactions, be social, find out about people, find out about what they're doing. I remember in a season when we lived in America, when I arrived, we lived there for 4 years. I was brand new. I didn't know any soul. Like I didn't know a soul from a drop of a hat. And I saw in our neighborhood pages, there was an advert for doing a visit to a nature reserve. I went to the nature reserve with my children, and there I met a mom. And in talking to this mom, I found out, oh, there are some homeschoolers who meet once a week, and I was like, give me their numbers. I didn't know who these people were. I contacted,
Yeah.
told them I arrived. I didn't know any. So get out of your shell. It's going to be uncomfortable, but just know that it's important and then pursue it. Is what I,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Beautiful, Clarinda. Briefly, Clarinda, can you just, for someone who's been listening, we're talking about homeschooling, and maybe we might take it for granted that we understand what that means for us. And for someone who doesn't know what's the difference? What's the major difference between homeschooling and a traditional school?
There are many differences.
Yeah.
So by implication, apart from the venue of when or how this learning is happening,
Yes.
yeah. So let's forget about the building and the venue and the place for a bit, and let's dig into what we are doing when we're saying when your child is going to a traditional school, you are arriving with a preset, almost a formula and a curriculum, and there is a system that begins from primary school all the way to matriculation. And that whole system has all the subjects, all the resources picked, all the teachers are picked before you got there, all the everything basically has been decided before you got there, right? And
Yes.
yes, and those every school, the traditional school system obviously has its own approaches in terms of curriculum outcomes. So obviously you've got your CAPS, and in South Africa you've got your IEB predominantly, and then you've got
Yes.
the Spring of Cambridge schools. All of those have a particular framework, a methodology that informs the approach. But in traditional schooling, everything has been decided before you arrived. You
Yeah.
arrive, you sit down, and you are a recipient, and yes, you engage with it, but it's been prepared for you, and you move through what has been prepared step by step until you emerge as this product. um,
Yeah.
I think what homeschooling is, and I actually wish that schools will be framed around, I wish that traditional schools will be framed around the mindset of the homeschooling approach, because the homeschooling journey of learning and growing and acquiring skills and knowledge and becoming this whole person ready to engage with society, it
Yeah.
says that there are many ways to skin the cat.
Mm.
So the homeschooling approach takes more flexibility. Even if you take a structured program within homeschooling, you chose it, right? You did
Yeah.
the research, you made the choices, and while you are doing whatever you've chosen, you can tweak it and tailor it the way you see fit. Everything
Mm.
from how you use your time.
Like,
You have children, hey? We do. We have them.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I think with homeschooling, the flexibility of being able to you picking things, you are deciding things. It's not decided for you. You are deciding, and you are also tailoring the choices according to
Yeah.
individual goals for your child, right? So you
Yeah.
may have one curriculum, but while you are engaging with your child, you realize this child has got an issue with reading, right?
Mm.
He struggles with this. Yeah, the major difference, like I was saying, was the flexibility. You had to choose everything, basically, the resources, the curriculum, even the approach to homeschooling. What kind of homeschooling approach?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but what is different about homeschooling is that you can also choose the pace that you are going, how you tailor it for each child, whether you stop and build certain things. Here in traditional schooling, things are moving in a particular way. And yes, I think there are teachers who are very skilled at wiring in some tailoring, extra lessons, and things like that. And that depends on the school and the teacher. But homeschooling
Mm.
really gives you all that freedom to
Yeah.
be to really make this thing such a personalized, individualized journey of learning for your child.
Mm.
And the assessments, I think another difference is the way in which homeschooling typically approaches assessments versus school. Obviously, school has to have, you've got so many kids, you have to set that one paper, we all write, it's adjudicated, and there we go. Homeschooling gives you a lot more variety in terms of the kind of assessments that you can do. Um,
Mm.
it, um, Actually assessing verbally, sitting down and writing, building something, projects, you have more variety. So I
Mm.
think the two major differences. And I think I know that there's a lot of homeschoolers who bring school typed curriculums home to do. And so sometimes people think, I'm just homeschooling. I'm just going to take the exact thing that's happening at school and I'm just changing the location.
Yeah.
um, I think it's a very tricky one because that's where you hit a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
And I think when you're homeschooling in the sense of the word, you have chosen a different approach to learning. And even the way you're fleshing it out will look different and can look different than
Yeah.
copy and paste and bringing things home.
Wow. Okay. Okay. But then now, as a homeschooler, how do you know like what to teach a child and where do we find this learning material?
Oh, there's so much. There's actually too much, isn't there? Okay. What to teach your child? Just like a quick overflow. I think you need to have a lot more conversations, Thanda. I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
I know.
patience.
It's
Because
a lot to discuss in one sitting.
definitely. I would say when your children are younger, I think of the homeschooling journey and what you choose and use as the process of building a house. So think of when you lay foundations. When children are young, you're laying foundations of learning, which is just all around play. So play forms a lot of the foundation, even if you're using more structured resources, whatever. Just think
Yeah.
of foundations of learning, play, getting messy, laying foundations of a love for reading, a love for understanding the order of the world in maths, but and so the development of a child to move their body, writing, and all of those things. And that you can find free resources online. So one of the free ones I know of, just the top of my head, is something called Easy Peasy. I think you've heard of it. Easy
Mm.
Peasy has a lot of free resources, actually from beginning to end, like all the way to high school even. So you lay the foundations and then you build on the foundations, and the more you build the foundations, you don't lose what you've done in the beginning, which is a love for learning, a curiosity, discovering, exploring, asking questions, not just sitting in front of a paper like this. You
Yeah.
want, even if you choose a curriculum, a math curriculum, always think of the privilege of homeschooling is that you can get out from your bum and make that thing come alive, right? So, where do you go to find resources? A ton of websites. Start with what approach of homeschooling you want to adopt. So, start there. So, if you are wanting to go, let's say you love caps, you just love caps, this is your thing, then you simple go to the Department of Education website. They've got their caps framework there for you, and then you just go buy the books, right? Go buy the
Yeah.
books. If you are going to adopt a more sort of eclectic homeschooling style, maybe you just want to surround your children with beautiful learning resources, then
Yeah.
you want the area of skill and match the area of skill with a resource. So you're building math skills all the way here. Math skills has a lot of resources. What do I choose? I'm
Yeah.
going to grab my Google and research math, homeschooling math curriculums out there, right?
Yeah.
So the box of math in itself has its own approaches that are linked to resources. So
Yeah.
whether for math you see, Singapore math, even doing Cambridge math. Math itself as a world has its own resources. So you want to take your time. First, think about the approach of homeschooling you want to adopt. Think about
Mm.
the goal that you have for that particular child. What are the areas of skill that you want to build into? And then once you have that, you say to yourself, okay, I need to build this in my child. What
Yeah.
resources are available? And then when you pick the resource, don't just pick it because Thanda said use it.
Yeah.
When you pick
Yeah.
the resource, ask yourself a couple of questions. What is the approach that this resource is coming at, right?
Yeah.
What is the almost like the philosophy around this math program that I'm choosing?
Mm.
Understand why behind the curriculum that you're choosing,
Mm.
so that you can use it as a tool in your hands rather than it driving you as a slave. Because if you don't understand how it works, you are going to open every day and you'll be shaking
Yeah.
and wanting to just tick the boxes.
We did it.
we are
Yeah.
done. But I also, once again, hop onto the homeschooling groups. For every homeschooling approach, there is a group of people chatting about what resources they're using, whether it's classical, whether it's Cambridge, whether it is eclectic. There are, just jump onto these groups and find out what people are using, but go and do your own homework and find out the approach to that resource. They usually
Yeah.
have pages. Tanja must make another conversation where we just talk about.
Yeah, I think we must. We must just schedule another one because there's so much that I know that I'll benefit from that talk, and then I know that my subscribers would also enjoy and learn from you.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I know this is too big. You know, when we're trying to eat like taking a bite, just bites there and there, but it's huge. And you know, another thing is when you, as a parent, you're deciding whether to homeschool or not homeschool,
mm,
this decision is huge. It's
yeah,
big. It's big. And you have a lot of questions. I don't know how many times me and my husband spoke about this before we actually decided to take our kids from school. It was a
mm,
very big decision. And I will receive emails from people and I understand where they are coming from, you know, and especially when it comes to things like what to teach a child. I understand when someone is confused, it's like, I don't know where to start. And unfortunately, for most parents, they will allow that fear to stop them from just starting that. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Where do I get the books? What books do I get?
yes,
What subjects do my kids do? And then they'll allow that to stop them. Where else, if maybe they gave it a chance and then they just started, and as
yes,
you are walking through, you will learn a lot. I've
and
learned a lot from
yeah,
just starting. If I were to look back 4 years ago when we started homeschooling and now, I've learned a lot. And I
mm,
think if maybe I knew how much I didn't know back then, maybe I wasn't gonna start. If I focused on that, like
Yeah.
how much I didn't know, you know. But in me learning and in me just starting, I got to learn alongside with my children as my children are learning. And
Yeah.
you can simplify it for yourself, like when you don't know what to teach a child. Well, the simple things like maybe a language, math,
Mm,
and
mm,
writing, and all of that. That's like the core subjects, something easy to know. But there are other things that you might want to do. When do
yeah.
I teach them science, maybe, or when do I teach them history? What
Mm,
history do I teach them? All those things. I think when you homeschool, I always think of this thing as a family learning together.
yeah.
it's not about the kids. It's not about
Yeah.
the kids. It's about
Yes.
everyone involved. Everyone
Everyone.
involved in learning. And it's so nice because when we're learning about something, even my husband, poor husband, even my husband, he will also know, oh, that's where they are. Oh, that's what they are learning. That's what, because we'll be talking about these things and we'll have questions and
Mm-hmm.
questions that you as a parent might not have answers.
Mm,
Learning to say, I don't know is like,
yes.
has set me free in so many cases. Because when you say, I don't know, let's find out.
That's fine.
You're opening yourself to learning new things and also teaching your child that mommy doesn't know it all. Mommy
That's
doesn't know it all. So it's not like you, as a parent, you know what your child needs to learn the whole year. No, you
yeah.
don't. You might have an idea of the
Mm,
big idea that this is what I want us to learn.
mm,
But the nitty gritties, you will learn along the way and you will fill in. Like just like we're saying that even
mm,
with the curriculum, choosing the
mm,
curriculum, doing that research of finding out what style your family likes or your style that you feel you want to
mm.
try.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing, trying different things because
Yeah.
you don't know. You can't say from the word go, this is how we're going to homeschool. I don't
Mm,
think it's fair. I don't think you're doing justice for anyone, even for your kids and for yourself. You will be trying different things. You try something and then you think, okay, let's try something else. And then maybe you fall in love with that thing. Then you
yeah.
change some things. So what you're saying that starting with the subject, searching that
Mm,
subject, and then you go to the philosophy, like, oh, okay, so there are so many ways to teach
mm,
math. I didn't know
mm,
that.
uh,
Especially if you went to a traditional school like
mm,
most parents did, you wouldn't
mm,
know that there are different methods to teach people certain things. There are
yeah.
different styles to teach people. There are different philosophies. There's just a lot of the
Mm,
things that are happening behind the scenes. So
mm,
I like what
yeah.
you're just saying. That it's
And
not.
I
Don't expect, like you're saying, Clarinda, to tell you that okay, for you, Thanda, go and buy this curriculum. It's gonna be
no.
great for you. that
Mm,
that is that is not fair for your
mm,
child as well, because you're just allowing a stranger to randomly suggest something to
yeah.
you. You must
Yeah.
listen to what Clarida is saying. Listen to maybe why she likes the curriculum, and then you
Yeah.
you can weigh that for your family. Is this
So,
important? No, it's
yeah.
not. Or is this
Yeah.
important? You just weigh those things. Sorry, you just weigh those
Mm,
things, and then you can decide on what material to use.
mm.
Okay,
And
okay. I know this is it's very long now. It's taking for forever. But I want us briefly. We are wrapping up, guys. We are wrapping up. How do families protect their reasons to homeschool while they are part of the society? I'm saying this because for I don't know whether I should say for some people like us who are new to homeschooling, you
mm,
have these things that are hidden inside your heart that
mm,
maybe you don't even want to share with people why you even homeschool because you are scared maybe for a number of reasons. I speak about this on another video when I was talking about those things whether you should share with your family, with your friends, why you homeschool and so forth. But how do we then protect those reasons? We want to do this, but we still want to be part of the society. How do we protect that?
yeah. Sure. That is a tough one because we all want to belong. We want to be part of. We like it when we are not by ourselves and the only ones, right? Because there's a lot of encouragement that we find from journeying and looking like everybody else, right? And what I want to say to that is there are some things in life that you're going to do that have a cost to them, right? And this is one of those things. I won't lie and say to you that you're always going to feel, as a homeschooling family that you are doing the right thing. You're going to have doubts. You're going to question whether you're just being crazy, maybe you're just being too much, maybe you're just
Yeah.
extra, you know. And
Mm,
but I think it's so important to remember and to hold on to why are you doing what you are doing. Your why for homeschooling is something that must be written down. Even you and your husband, or even if you're a single parent, sit down and do the work of really finding out why and put that why down. And every year I want to, and I do this, look at that why every year, because by the end of that year there'll be more things you may want to add to it,
mm,
but you need to have that very clear reason in front of you. Because when the days are long and the children are fighting and nothing is working and you are frustrated and feeling like, what am I doing, me, do I think I can do, all the doubts and fears, when those moments come, you need
mm,
to go back to your why. And Thanda, I want to say that I really want to encourage people to surround themselves with even one or two people who are your encouragers, right? And
mm,
for me, in the beginning, my encouragers came from people I didn't know. I read
mm,
books who homeschooled. I watched videos of people who were homeschooling. I found
yeah.
sounded like they were crazy enough to think that something beautiful can come out of this journey that I had never been, I've never experienced for myself. So find people, a friend, people you can talk to. And I think as moms, we are carriers, right? We carry children for 9 months and we birth them, right? So a lot of the times the beautiful vision that you have for why you're homeschooling, it's almost like even while you are homeschooling, you are carrying that thing, you are nurturing it. So
Mm,
please take care of yourself as a mom, right? Because you are carrying something that you haven't yet seen. So what do you do when you take care of yourself? See yourself as a whole person yourself. You need
mm,
breaks, you need refreshing, you need time out, you need some self-care. you need
yeah.
to you need to if you are a woman of faith, you need to make time in the word and in prayer. The things that fuel um real purpose in you are the things that you must be cultivating, so that you can guard the why and the journey, and and
Mm,
and make it for the long haul, so that when
mm,
things are difficult, you are not just you haven't forgotten who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. I think that's what I would suggest. And I think your platform, and yeah, I think having these conversations so that people can come and sit and see your face and be like, okay, I'm not
mm,
alone.
yeah.
It really actually matters. And that's why I started sharing my homeschooling journey, because I wanted someone like I needed for myself to look and
Mm,
say, oh, there's someone like me doing this
mm,
thing,
yeah.
and part of that community, sharing what on to say, you know what, just put one foot in front of the other and just take it one at a time. You can do this.
Oh,
um
oh, Clarinda, thank you so much. It's been so lovely speaking to you. And like you're saying, for someone who wants to connect now, wants to work with you, how do people connect with you? And I do love what you do on your, I know you have a YouTube channel where you share very informative videos and vlogs. And I love that. I enjoy your videos and I learn a lot from them. And I love this. I love the sitting down and talking, and I'm learning a lot. I thank God. I really do thank God for the platform that He has given me. YouTube. I've met amazing people, and in as much as when I feel like when people watch my videos and also from the emails that I receive, they think I have the answers.
yes.
Like they will be approaching you thinking, oh, since you share online, you have everything figured out. But I don't. I
Mm,
don't. I'm only sharing what I've learned. I'm sharing what I'm learning. And
yes.
through that, through me putting myself out there, I've met amazing people like you. I've
Mm,
had an honor to host you for like close to 1 hour and a half now. you know,
beautiful.
and it has been so amazing. I've learned so much from people just sharing their stories. So please, Karen, that you continue doing what you do. We appreciate it and we learn a lot from it. And it does encourage us, and it does shine a light, in different areas of our homeschool journey. So now,
Yeah.
for someone who wants to connect with you, how do people find you and where do they connect with
So
you?
yeah, you can connect me here on YouTube space. So my channel is just Clarinda Sishi, so you can find me. You can also find me on Instagram. So Instagram, I just share the behind the scenes, and I actually gather memories on Instagram for myself and my family. So that's also a great space.
It's been so nice talking to you, Clarinda. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've watched until the end, what must they leave? What did you choose between the hair and the phone? You chose a cell phone.
I chose cell phone, ma'am. I know. I love my.
Okay.
I chose a cell.
Yeah, she chose a phone because the hair can grow back. Okay, so if you've watched until the end, please leave a smartphone in the comment section. Then we know that you've watched until the end. And if you have any further questions, you're welcome to leave them in the comment section or email me or Clarinda. I'll leave all her contact details in the description box. And happy homeschooling. Thank you so much, Clarinda, for sharing your journey. And I'll see you on the next chat because we're going to organize that one. I
Definitely.
desperately need to speak to you about other issues as well. So
Awesome.
see you on the
Awesome.
next one.
I will definitely. I look forward to it, Tanda. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.